Hi guys, I put this rubber band powered car together the other day and then I modified it. It had ornithopter wings on it to propel it, and today I'm going to modify it again. I've taken the wings off. I've got a lead weight here and a strip of wood. I'm going to have the lead weight on the strip of wood. The strip of wood will be tensioned on some rubber bands here like a crossbow, so we pull it along like that somewhere with the lead weight sitting at that end, and then when we release it, that will shoot that way, but with Newton's whichever law it is, I can't remember which one, that trying to go that way at the same time will make the car go to the right. The only thing I'm not sure about is what sort of trigger mechanism to use. I could very simply have a little hook at this end that we push out the way, and that will release it and shoot it back. What I'd like to do is make it radio controlled, but I think we'll go for the simple one first, and then if it works right we'll consider making it radio controlled afterwards in a separate video. So we'll do the simple one first. I'll put a plastic tube on there to give it some sort of directional stability. Attach the rubber bands there, I should think, crossbow style. A little notch in the end of here to hold it, and then I'll fit a little U-shaped peg here so we can push down on it, and that will actually release the trigger and allow that to shoot backwards. The reason I want to do it that way is so that you can see I'm not pushing the car in any direction. I'm pushing at right angles to the motion. Well, it's all up together and ready to demonstrate. Got a plastic tube here to actually guide our, whatever we want to call this, plunger. Looks like one, or an arrow I suppose. It's neither, it's just a heavy weight. So that's going to go in the tube. At the back here I've got a very simple bit of wire bent up going through that hole there, and there's a hole at the back end of the arrow which will be held in place there. That rubber band there is just to stop this falling onto the floor. It doesn't, but it might, so that's all that rubber band's there for. So we place the arrow on there, then we add the rubber bands afterwards. I've found it as easier to do that than try and put the rubber bands on and tension it. And then my bit of wood here, I hit the release peg or pin or whatever you want to call it. That pushes that down out of the retaining hole, and away it goes. Now at the moment we're pointing the wrong direction because the arrow comes out that way and the car goes that way, so we want to see how far it'll go. So arrow, I'll call it at the moment, that's the easiest thing to call it, goes on there. It is held in place with the peg at the front, and then that'll help hold it in place now. And we can add the rest of the rubber bands. Just show you. There we are, under tension. So that little peg or bit of wire is holding it in place. When I push that down, that'll drop out of the hole. The arrow, plunger, whatever, will go that way, but because it's heavy, the car will go that way. Force equals mass times acceleration, I think is the the law. So see if you can follow this. I'm going to hit that down. The arrow will more or less stay in place because it's heavier than the car. The car will go that way. Oh, it would help if I actually hit it. That's why I was talking about making it radio controlled, so I could release that automatically rather than fuss like this. So we've done about 5 meters, maybe 6 meters. And how far did that travel? Well, hardly at all. Well, now that I've brought it back, we can see one of the bands didn't actually release. It got caught on the wire. So we might be able to get a slightly more distance if they all go, or we can add more rubber bands. Right, this time we'll actually start it on the line, so I've got some way of measuring its distance. The white lines are 1 meter apart. So let's try again. Yeah, the full distance. And that's as far back as that went. So that travelled that distance, which is probably about 30 centimetres, maybe a little bit more. And the car travelled best part of 8 metres. About 7.5 really, if we take out the start. This could be interesting. Oh. Well, I think we would have made it if we hadn't hit the door stop. Well, by the end there, it was actually working quite well. I made a very slight modification. I put my wire trigger over the top of that rubber band, and it just holds it up when we're trying to load it, which is convenient, holds it up in the right place. Other than that, the original car is made from couple of wooden spatulas from Wilko, CDs for wheels that I've used in lots of my previous episodes. They're just ordinary CDs, but they've got bits of plywood, scrap plywood, glued to them, and then hole drilled in the middle, the right size for my bamboo canes or barbecue skewers. So that's the axles. Little bits of drinking straw there to keep the wheels away from the bodywork to reduce friction. The front of this one happens to have a metal tube in it as the axle tube, and the back is just the holes through the wood. And then the addition is this plastic straw, big plastic straw, to guide, we'll call it an arrow for now, to guide the arrow. Big lump of lead on the end there. No idea what weight that is, but I would guess 6 ounces, something like that. Notch cut in the end there to help line the rubber bands up, and the hole drilled through. The hole goes into or over the trigger mechanism, and then we hit that to push the trigger out the way. And obviously we wrap the rubber bands around it. Can I do that one-handed? Not very easily. Obviously it's totally unbalanced until you get that right back there. And that's it, yeah. So rubber bands stretch around the back. Arrow sits on the trigger. And then you hit that to push the trigger down. That releases that. That pushes, or the rubber bands push the weight that direction. But because the weight is heavy, force equals mass times acceleration. Well, the end result is the car is lighter, so the car shoots off that way, and the weight doesn't go very far that way at all. And I can't remember which one of Newton's laws that is. Is it the third one? But it works. And we're doing about 8 meters.